Interview 2, October 1994, Capitola, California. Sweetie, we need to talk. We've needed to for a while. I feel like. Can you sit? Q. Well, I'd rather almost anything, but I care about you and I'd rather anything than you getting hurt. That concerns me, believe me. Q. Because I care. Because I love you. Enough to really be honest. Q. That sometimes I worry you're going to get hurt, and that you don't deserve it. To get hurt, I mean. Q. Because, to be honest, my record is not good. Almost every intimate relationship I get into with women seems to end up with them getting hurt somehow. To be honest, sometimes I worry I might be one of those guys who uses people, women. I worry about it No, damn it, I'm going to be honest with you because I care about you and you deserve it. Sweetie, my relationship record indicates a guy who is bad news. And more now lately I've been afraid that you're going to get hurt, that I might hurt you the way I seem to have hurt others who... Q. That I have a history, a pattern, so to speak, of, for instance, coming on very fast and hard in the beginning of a relationship and pursuing very hard and very intensely and wooing very intensely and being head over heels in love right from the very start, of saying, I love you very early on in the relationship, of starting to talk future tense right from the outset, of having nothing be too much to say or do to show how much I care, which all, of course, has the effect, naturally, of seeming to make them truly believe I really am in love, which I am, which then I think seems to make them feel loved enough and, so to speak, safe enough to start letting them say, I love you, back, and acknowledging that they're in love with me too. And it's not, let me stress this because it's the God's honest truth, it's not that I don't mean it when I say it. Q. Well, it's not as if how many of them I've said it to isn't an understandable question or concern, but if it's all right, it's just that it's not what I'm trying to talk to you about. So if it's all right, I want to hold off on things like numbers or names and try to just be totally honest with you about what my concerns are, because I care. I care about you a lot, sweetie. A whole lot. I know it's insecure, but it's very important to me that you believe this and hang on to it all through our talk here. That what I'm saying or what I'm afraid I might do to in any way end up hurting you doesn't in any way lessen or mean that I don't care or that I have not meant it absolutely every time I've told you I love you. Every time. I hope you believe that. You deserve to. Plus, it's true. But what it is that it seems as if for a while everything I say and do has the effect of pulling them into thinking of it as a very serious relationship and almost you could say somehow like lulling them into thinking in terms of the future. Q. Because then the as it were pattern seems to be that once I've got you, so to speak, and you're as much into the relationship as I've been, then it's as if I'm almost constitutionally unable somehow to push all the way through and follow through and make a, what's the right word? Q. Yes, all right. That's the word, even though I have to tell you the way you say it fills me with dread and terror that you're already feeling hurt and not taking what I'm trying to say in the spirit in which I'm trying to talk to you about this, which is that I honestly do care enough about you to share some honest concerns that have been troubling me about even the possibility of you getting hurt, which believe me is the absolute last thing I want. Q. That, from examining the record and trying to make some kind of sense of it, it seems as if something in me goes into a sort of overdrive in the early, intense part and gets me right up to the point of, yes, of commitment, but then can't quite seem to push all the way through and actually make the commitment to do a truly serious, future tense, committed thing with them. As Mr. Chitwin would put it, I am just not a closer. Does any of this make any sense? I don't feel as though I'm saying it very well. Where the real hurt seems to come in is because this inability seems to kick in only after doing and saying and behaving in all sorts of ways that on some level I surely must know are leading them to think that I want a truly committed future tense thing as much as they do. So, to be honest, this is my record with this sort of thing, and as far as I can tell it seems to indicate a guy who's bad news for women, which concerns me. A lot. That I seem like a woman's completely ideal guy up to a certain point in the relationship where now they've dropped all their resistance and defenses and are head over heels in love, which of course seems to be what I had wanted right from the beginning and had worked so hard and wooed them so intensely to get them to do, and just as I know all too well I've done with you, to get serious and think in terms of the future and the word commitment, and sweetie, trust me, this is hard to explain because I far from fully understand it myself. But then at just this point, historically, as best I can figure out, it's as if something in me, as it were, reverses thrust and now puts all its overdrive into pulling back. Q. All I can really figure out is that I seem to sort of freak out and feel I have to reverse thrust and get out of it, except usually I'm not totally sure. I can't tell if I truly want out of it or whether I'm simply freaking out somehow. And even though I'm freaking out and want out, I still don't want to lose them, it seems. So I tend to give a lot of mixed signals and say and do a lot of things that seem to confuse them and yank them around and cause them pain, which, believe me, I always end up feeling horrible about, even while I'm doing it. Which I'll tell you, the truth is what I'm freaking out about with you and me, because yanking you around or causing you pain is the absolute last thing. And Q. The God's honest truth is, I don't know. I do not know. I haven't been able to figure it out. I think all I'm trying to do here in our sitting down and talking about it is really care about you and be honest about myself and my relationship record and do it in the middle of something instead of at the end. Because my record is that historically it seems to be only at the end of a relationship that I seem to be willing to open up about some of my fears about myself and my record of causing women who love me pain. Which, of course, causes them pain, the sudden honesty does, and serves to get me out of the relationship, which then afterward I worry might have been my subconscious agenda all along in terms of bringing it up and finally getting honest with them, maybe. I'm not sure. So anyway, the truth is I'm not sure about any of it. It's just trying to look honestly at my record and honestly see what seems to be the pattern and what's the likelihood of my continuing this pattern with you, which, believe me, I'd rather anything than do. Please believe that inflicting any pain on you is the last thing I want, sweetie. This pulling away thing and inability to push through and, as Mr. Chitwin would say, close the deal. This is what I want to try to be honest with you about. And the harder and the faster I've come after them at the beginning, wooing and pursuing and feeling completely in love, the intensity of that drive seems to be directly proportional to the intensity and urgency with which it seems I then find ways to pull back away. The record indicates that this sort of sudden reversal of thrust happens right when I have the sense that I've got them. Whatever got means, to be honest, I'm not sure. It seems to mean once I know for sure and feel that now there is into the relationship in the future tense as I am, have been, was. It happens that fast. It's terrifying when it happens. Sometimes I haven't even known what even happened until after it's over and I'm looking back on it and trying to understand how she could have gotten so hurt. Was she crazy or unnaturally clingy and dependent, or am I just bad news as far as relationships go? It happens incredibly fast. It feels both fast and slow, like a car crash, where it's almost more like you're watching it happen than that you're actually involved in it. Does any of this make any sense? Q. I seem to need to keep admitting I'm really terrified that you're not going to understand, that I won't explain it well enough or that you'll somehow, through no fault of your own, misinterpret what I'm saying and turn it around somehow and be hurt. I'm feeling unbelievable terror here, I have to tell you. Q. All right. That's the bad part. Dozens of times, at least. 40, 45 times maybe. To be honest, possibly more. As in a lot more, I'm afraid. I guess I'm not even sure anymore.